The Garda Trentino Trail 100 Extra, its first year in existence. It was a 100K race with 7,000 meters of elevation gain. It was self-guided and had maybe 3 aid stations, but most likely 2. Didn't know that till race day. Arco, the town it's located in, just north of Riva Garda, is a spectacular town. It's got amazing views, the temperatures were great, and the organization of this race was particularly really well done. There's signs throughout the little village of where to get things, you know, where the showers are, the drop bags, the check-in, all this kind of thing, really well laid out. The 100K route was a new addition to its lineup, Garda Trentino Trail's lineup, as they have the famous one that is a very competitive race. I think it's about 60K, and that goes off on Saturday. We were going off on Friday, and the initial trial, I guess, in the kind of self-navigated addition to the race series was the 150. And I'd always had my eye on this, but I never did it because it's a bit long for early May. I didn't want to do a 100 miler, and I think that one has a 10,000 meters of elevation gain. But I did love the profile, 100K, 7,000 meters of elevation gain. So you got a slope score of 70, that's an easy one. And this race looked great, looked spectacular. So since the main events are on Saturday, we were one of the smaller portions of this race. There was an elite bib giving ceremony, and that was at about 6:30, and it ran until 7:30 or so. But my race started at 9, and I needed to get ready. So I did. I started doing my pre-race prep, all my eating that I try and time out to do specific time before the race actually starts. So I did that, but and then I was like, oh, you know, I got plenty of time to do my warm-ups, my stretches, all that kind of stuff. Got my bag ready, got my drop bag ready because I now had to go drop my drop bag that I was going to see twice on the route, which is an absolute luxury given it's only a 100K race. So I walk over. I had a great little Airbnb that was quite close to the start line, and I walk over with my bag, and everyone's already there. And I'm like, wow, everyone's pretty punctual here. But I kind of missed the memo where we actually had to meet an hour before the race because there was going to be a procession up to the castle. The castle's, say, 60 meters above the town, spectacular castle, and that's where the start line was going to be. But it was going to be a nice little walk, and they're going to do a guided walk up to the start line, a bit of a procession. I missed that procession, and then I thought I was going to miss the start of the race. So I run over to the drop bag place, I drop my drop bag, and they're like looking at me kind of funny, and I'm like, no, I do this all the time. And then I had to figure out how to get to the castle, so I chose a route, and it was really steep, and I was like, oh, eventually I'll catch up to the procession that's going to the start line. I didn't catch them, and I went up a really steep route, and now I'm sweating, but I'm like, the race doesn't go off for a little bit, this should be fine. But I get to the start line, and no one's there, and no volunteers, not people, there's a couple just tourists taking photos. So I get there, and I'm like, oh man, I think I missed the start of the race. So I'm sitting there on the bench thinking I could just start my own race and go now, and maybe it just works out. But I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna wait till the official start time and just see what happens. Fortunately, the rest of the race and the volunteers and the event, they're all lost except for me, and now they're at the start line too. So we were gonna start together. That was great. Hilariously, we all started, and there's a bit of a run through the castle. So you get to see the castle, and it's a kind of just a tradition. And so we're running through the castle, and I'm in 8th position maybe, and I'm just following the guys. I'm not even looking at my watch yet. Not that even my watch would help because the routes were too skinny because it was very steep to really tell which way it was going. So we kept following, and then all of a sudden the guys in front stop, and I stop and I look around. There's nothing there. There's no route. We've just come to a dead end view, and the whole race has followed us. So within the first 200 meters, we've taken a wrong turn. In these races, it's usual to take wrong turns. You take wrong turns all the way, all the time. Compared to a flagged race or a marked course, it's actually significantly less frustrating because you know it's coming. You know that you're gonna miss your route every now and then, and you have to just constantly remember to keep looking, because when it feels like you get into one of those flow and you're just running, especially downhill fast, and you can run right by your actual route, which is like a small tributary of a path off the main path, and you just miss it. And then how much you miss it by is how long it takes you to check again. Anyhow, 200 meters uphill, we have now gone in the wrong direction, and so the whole race is now backwards. So the people who are in the front are now in the back, and now we're going this way. The whole thing reverses direction, and we get to a very narrow passageways. Take a look at this. So by the time, I think this is about 5 minutes of being in the crowd now, I don't know where anyone is. I don't know what position I'm in, and we just start running, which is actually fine. It relieves a lot of pressure. I cut my heart rate down at the beginning of the race because I'm literally stuck in a line. Yeah, that was no problem. So got underway, and things went swimmingly. And I'm just keeping it cool, having a great time. It's a beautiful night. The stars are out. You can see them clearly. It's cool. It's not cold, but it's, probably mid-teens in Celsius. So I'm hoping it actually gets down in temperature. We cross the valley and head up the first hill. The first hill, we do a couple ups and downs, and then it's down to our first drop bag aid station, life base. thing. And the whole time we're going across the hills, we can hear a concert, and there's like lasers lighting up the hills and stuff, and it was quite spectacular. We could actually hear the concert happening. So it was just a massive concert, you know, it sounded really loud, and it was kind of fun being able to hear this and see the lights coming off from right in Riva del Garda. So that was quite fun. The other thing that happened is we kept running across tons of boars, like these giant boars, wild hog kind of boar things. I think they're boars. And they're like giant Pumbas. And these things are massive. They're like a really, really big black dog, like not a Bernese mountain dog, but even bigger than that. But they're really thick and they're really massive, just pure muscle they look like. And so we kept running across them because we could be coming downhill and then we'd come right onto their path and they would just be sleeping on the trail. They get all freaked out. And I'm like quickly thinking through my mind, oh, what is the defense strategy against a boar? You know, I'm going like, is it fetal position? Is it run? Is it act scary? Act big? You know, like a mountain lion, bear, whatever. So I didn't know. So the only thing I knew was like, I got to be faster than the guy I'm running with if this thing charges us. Fortunately, none did charge us, but they did stare at us very, you know, gave us the lazy eye. Got in the life base, quickly made a quick nutrition change, got all my stuff, headed out. Now we're about 40K into the race, 4.5 hours or so, and the concert goers are letting out, and these are the dregs of the concert goers, and they are shocked to see us running through the town. It was really funny, running along the lake, really beautiful scene, and some of them would just stop with their mouths open and just stare as we ran by. It was really funny. It made it really interesting for us because we had a very flat section coming through there. Leaving Riva, beautiful town, we kept going and, you know, following our watch. So my watch, I have it zoomed into about 100 meters, and the path says to go straight. And there's this gorgeous bike tunnel lane thing with runners, and it goes along the lake, and we ran in there and we kept going. But I kept noticing that I was slightly off the path, but I just thought it was because we were in a tunnel, so the GPS couldn't pick me up. Kept running, ended up in a gate, a just totally closed gate, like from ceiling to floor. You couldn't get through this thing. And so we had no idea what was going on. Looked at our watch. We were roughly online as far as both of us. I was running with another guy, could tell. And we're like, oh man, I think we must have missed it. So we ran back for a little while, ran forward again, jumped over a barrier, went around this fence, and then we actually ended up on the highway. So we had to come back again. And it turned out that we were actually supposed to be on the path above the tunnel. And this was incredibly frustrating. So this whole thing took about 25 minutes of running back and forth in this tunnel, maybe even half an hour. So we got on the right path, and now the people behind us had caught us because it took us so long. So now there's 4 or 5 of us in the 100K race, because now we've actually caught up as well with the 150K. So we're passing, there's a whole bunch of people now. We're on the right route, and it's like this 5% gradient for about 5K, and we just had to grind up there. Fortunately, the fury of getting lost for so long helped me grind up that hill. Now that hill turned into one of the best climbs of the whole race, where you get in past the 5% garbage, but you get into the steep stuff, and you're on a bit of a ridge line as you climb this mountain, and you can see the Lake Garda and all the towns along the lake, and it was just a spectacular scene all the way up to the top, which was one of the biggest climbs of the day, and just unbelievable the whole time. So from there, we kept going, and I had now dropped my running partner who I was with, and I didn't see anyone else. And I came across the lead 2 guys from the 150, and it was really good. And they actually said, okay, you are in the lead now, which really, you know, as much as I try and say that I focus on, as much as I do try and focus on just the time splits, it is hugely motivating to be competitive in a race. And so that helped me fuel me over the next couple of climbs, the really, really beautiful climbs. And the whole area is spectacular. The sun starts to come up, and fortunately, the way the whole route went, it was perfect. I was climbing in the shade. The sun came up. I descended. I ran up a valley for the last large climb of the day. Fortunately, that was a west-facing climb, so the whole time it was in the shade, and it was really steep. And I knew the temperatures were going to get a little bit warmer than I was used to that day, about up to the mid-20s. So I was incredibly happy, grateful that the steepest climb of the day was west-facing. Got through there, and you know, then we hit one hill onto the kind of the finish chute. You know, I can now see the town. At the top of that climb, I had 20K to go and 2.5 hours if I wanted to break 14 hours. And so I set this arbitrary goal just to get motivated, try something, because I now knew I'd pulled out my phone, checked the tracker to see where all the runners were, and the tracker was actually really accurate. So I could see the number 2, number 3 were about an hour behind. Try to get motivated around the 14 hours. And I said, yeah, 20K, 2.5 hours, no problem. I had one more big climb, wasn't medium climb, and then should be all descent. So I started descending off that steep climb. Well, it turns out that was pretty steep descent. I kept getting lost a lot on this one. A little bit frustrating because now we had semi come across the 60K. When I say semi, because we would be on their path sometimes and then off their path, and we had to keep changing on and off the path. So navigation was really tricky, and I'm running down fast, technical descent. And I kept missing the trail. Make it up the climb, and I think, you know what, I've got an hour with 10K to go. I'm like, oh, it's pretty much all downhill. I can do this for sure. So I start bombing down this descent, and it turns out it's a river, pretty much a riverbed with rocks about this size, and they're rolling. And so I'm like, no, this is really slowing me down, hurting my speed. 4K left, I see biker escort comes to meet me. He's very speedy, and I'm trying to catch him, and it's kind of frustrating because obviously I'm not going to catch a mountain biker downhill, but there are pitches where we go uphill. So I'm like running hard up the hill. The heat is on, the sun's on us now, getting pretty warm, and I realize it's an e-bike. It's like, oh, can't beat that. Well, 14 hours, happened to be 11 a.m. in the morning, and I run into the finishing chute. You kind of come down, and it's a really long, beautiful promenade right into the center of town. I can see the finish line, and there's a lot of noise, and I just thought the speakers were going with the music. But as I get closer, there are hundreds and hundreds of people lining the chute. Out of any race I've ever had, there's never been this big a reception for when I finish. So I'm running down the chute, and then I start to notice that they all have bib numbers on, and I'm trying to figure this one out as I am just a little bit fried now, because I was trying to beat this e-bike up a ridiculous, stupidly trying to beat an e-bike up a hill. They all have bibs on, so I'm running in, but I'm like, oh, this is the greatest finish line I've ever had. Finish line crowd. So finish, and I sign the poster, do some 2 interviews, get the photos with the ceremonial people, and it's all fun, and high five, and everything's awesome. And as I'm sitting there doing one of the interviews, the whole chute starts to fill up with people. And I ask one of the guys, I'm like, hey, what's happening? Why are these people going in because the finish is the start chute. And I ask, why are all these people going in here? Like, oh, there was actually a race happening. The 25K was heading out at 11 a.m. and you were coming in at 11 a.m. So we had to cancel the start of the race, and we told everyone to go cheer. And that's why there were so many people with bibs on. So I actually canceled the start of the 25K race by accident, and I felt really bad. And now I'm stuck there, and all these people were coming through congratulating me, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry that I canceled your race start. But they did get off about 10, 15 minutes late probably.
I was very nervous in the beginning because we started a little bit later because of the 100K winner. And then my German soul was a little bit like, oh my God, we are 5 minutes delayed.
But that's for the reason. So there was 300 runners that had to get out of the start chute, go on the sides, line the sides, cheered, and obviously all their families and stuff were there too to cheer them on. So really, I piggybacked off the 25K race for an awesome finish. And then I got to enjoy the rest of the day in Garda, in Arco, and it's such a spectacular region. There's like bike paths that go up the river. There's tons of rock climbing, a really outdoor area. I loved getting in at 11 a.m. too, so then I could get a sleep and then get back out in the afternoon and have a look around. The town was buzzing with all the races happening because the 60K started to finish about 2 p.m. So that was really great. Highly recommended race, really fun atmosphere. Even if you do the 60K, that looked an incredible route as well. And the 100, definitely highly recommended. Self-navigated, but it wasn't hard. And it's just really, really, really well organized. Loved it. Ciao, ciao!